and I see that you have a good potential yourself. You have been very active now, and now you're only what, 14 or 16, is it?
16.
16. You're still young. Yeah, and I see in the back of you there, in the walls they're
Yeah.
hanging a lot of medals, meaning that you have the potential.
Professor Hikmahanto, for the time, and sorry to keep you waiting just now. It's
No
an honor
problem.
to host
My
you.
pleasure.
It's an honor because I've heard from a lot of people you should have Professor Hikmahanto in your podcast because you guys have the same interests. That's what I heard from a lot of people. And yesterday, I had the honor to be introduced to you by Professor Eddie Warman from USU, North Sumatra. And
Right, right. I know him well.
yeah, and I have a lot of questions, a lot of because we have the same interest here in global politics and also in law, which is very fascinating in my opinion. So, first of all, let's start off with our country, with Indonesia. So, what do you think is the biggest challenge or big challenges being faced today by Indonesia in this continuously evolving geopolitics and especially during this pandemic?
Well, of course, Indonesia wants to be a big country, a country that can have values to be followed by many countries. And I think Indonesia has the potential to do that. However, we have a lot of challenges. One is, of course, issue of corruption. Domestically, we have that problem. Secondly, we cannot focus on what we want to build or achieve. Thirdly, we have, of course, a big population with a democracy that is unlike democracy in other parts of the world. I mean, we truly have uh, our own democracy. I have to say, by saying this, that people, as if there's no restrictions when they want to voice their concerns, and the problem of law enforcement of those who are violating the criteria to voice their concern. That's a challenge to me. The next challenge is, of course, poverty. We have problems with poverty. So, if you want to become a big country, recognized by other nations, you need to solve these challenges. Once you achieve the in facing the challenges, then you may become a big country.
I Yeah, but sadly today, what's being done is more words, not actions, right?
Yeah, that's true, unfortunately. But I have hope with the younger generation, because yes, we do have challenges today,
Mhm.
but the much younger generations, they know that we have faced with this kind of challenges, and the young generation have the, I suppose, the guts to face these challenges and try to overcome the challenges. And hopefully by 2045, we will become a big country. And a lot of countries and pundit have predicted that Indonesia, within 2045, of becoming a big country.
Well, yeah, we truly need to pray that it will come true along with together we need to show the commitment so that it will come true. Yeah. All right. Now let's go to talk about more international issues. today I'm very much fascinated about the growing influence of China, especially the economy. Like if we see a lot of countries in this pandemic, they crippled, their economy is severely damaged, especially the less economically developed countries. But China, even though they're quite damaged, they're still continuously expanding themselves. So do you think what would be the future impacts towards countries, not only us, Indonesia, but towards countries in the West of this growing China's influence?
First of all, you need to understand China itself. We understand that China has a vast population.
Yes.
They have 1.4 billion population, and they have, if I'm not mistaken, 780 million workforce, meaning that they need to have a work, or else, you may encounter problems. The government, you as a government, you may encounter a problem. So these two things, I think, is the concern of the leaders in China. They have to think how to manage China so that a big country like China can survive. And today, countries are no longer trying to expand their territories, expand their influence, because in previous years, decades, we know that countries will readily fight a war because of sphere of influence, the communist bloc or the Western bloc, those kind of things. But nowadays, you don't see that. Nowadays, what is important, what our countries are trying to obtain is two things. One, they need to have a market. Yeah. Market share is very important, because if you want to give within your country jobs for your people, then you need to export. You cannot only concentrate domestically. Look at China. Nowadays, they're exporting various things, from something that is very basic. For example, they produce underwear. I mean, yes, it's only underwear, but every person, individual, needs to have that at least 2 years, once every 2 years. But also, they have technology. They can export their technology to other parts of the world.
Cheap.
So, excuse me?
And the price is relatively lower than those of the West produce.
Yeah, the prices are relatively lower because you have a lot of populations, and the populations, the workforce does not have any choice. Either you work or you don't work. If you work, you will be paid not very highly, of course, but still it is a work, right? And secondly, because of the big population that China have, they need to have various resources. They need to have the energy for electricity, for example, gas, or they need to have fish, many other things. And they need to have all of this. Yeah. So where do they get it from? If they don't expand their market share. Yeah. Because once you expand your market share, then the second issue that countries are looking for is production base. You need to become a production base, because if you have a production base, for various kind of goods, then you will open up employment for your people. And this is very important. 780 million people needs to have a job in China. Whereas in Indonesia, we have now 270 million populations. probably there's going to be like, I don't know, 100 million or so, workforce. But the Chinese government has to think 780 million, employment vacancies. So they need to make sure that they expand. That's why they have the BRI, for example, and they will claim the 9-dash line to make sure that the fish or the gas around that area can be exploited. In order for China to survive as a country, because if the government is not thinking about this, then China will become, they will break up like the Soviet Union, I suppose. So this is something that the Chinese government is thinking, and they are very aggressive, towards other countries.
And what would you think the West would react? How would you think they would react in the future if this continues? Because this will definitely continue, and we should face it, the West are somehow jealous of China's influence.
Yeah, well, the West is trying to say, well, we understand that China has these challenges that they're facing, but China should face the challenges together with other countries rather than minding itself. Yeah. So this is where I think the West does not believe in the Chinese value that in order for their country to survive, they need to expand. Because the West, they will try to say that no, other countries have to expand as well. So we have to work together rather than doing it by yourself. But of course, if you look at China with the 1.4 billion population, as a market share, this is a big market share. That's why in China, they don't have a YouTube. They have their own, right? They don't have a WhatsApp. They have their own. I mean, they try to exploit their own domestic market before they exploit markets outside China. So this is something that a lot of countries are saying to China, that it is not right for China to be selfish, to think about itself rather than thinking about other countries.
Yeah. And do you think China will somehow grow like, or end up like Japan, where there will be growing debts and there will be higher increase of the population of the older people? Do you think they might end up like Japan?
Well, it will end up like Japan, but of course, if you look at Japan, the middle class is much more bigger than the lower class. In China, yes, the middle class is growing. However, you still have the lower class people, and this is something that the government has to deal with. If they don't carefully deal with the problem of the middle to lower class people, then it causes a lot of social problems, criminals, for example. So this is different from Japan, because in Japan you have much more middle class to upper rather than middle class to lower, right? Yeah. And Japan has been successful in developing its countries, its nations, so it became a first world. Well, China is, of course, after Deng Xiaoping opened up China to international network or international community, it has become successful. And now China has exert influence so that their national policy can be implemented not only in China, but outside China.
Yeah.